Hey everybody, John Ramdeen and Robin Black with you here in our downtown studios. The UFC was in Halifax, Nova Scotia on Sunday for UFC Fight Night. A number of Canadians on the card. Elias Theodorou, the Ultimate Fighter winner, successful. We also saw the UFC debut of Aiemann Zahabi, 15 minutes against Vieira. I thought Aiemann looked very, very good. Brian Stann was very, very impressed with how technically able Aiemann Zahabi was.
Yes, and I want to talk about Gavin Tucker.
Oh yeah.
And we will.
Yeah.
We definitely will, because that kid, it was great. Congrats, Gavin.
Tops.
That was fantastic. Great start. But you know what? We're going to talk a lot about Gavin Tucker, and so's the world. And if you're Aiemann, that's awesome. This is great news, because that's exactly the fight that if you got to secretly talk, hey, for us, what do you hope happens in Aimann's fight? It's like, okay, I know he's my brother, but I hope he gets a little bit of, he gets pushed, he gets hurt, he has a couple of momentary failures where something that normally works doesn't work for him, he gets taken 15 minutes, he gets really, really heavily challenged, and he comes out of there with a B- style performance and a win. That's what we'd want, and that's what we got. So if Aiemann went out there and destroyed this guy in 30 seconds, we'd have got very little gain from this fight. Instead, we got massive gain, and everybody can talk about Gavin Tucker, who had the big night, so they can take some attention away from him.
What I thought was very cool, Aiemann Zahabi, 6 fights going into the UFC. I think all first round stoppages. Never been the distance before, never been to the second round, so he gets that out of the way. Valuable information, and he said that I've never been 15 minutes. This is such a valuable lesson, a tool that I can take into my mixed martial arts career. In addition to that, he was poked in the eye. He had to learn how to deal with that type of adversity as well. The pressure of being the younger brother of the world famous trainer for Zahabi.
That's not going away. That guy's going to be your brother always. He was your brother when you were born, and he'll be your brother when you die. So you just have to deal with it. And he does. And I thought that was wonderful. I was thrilled for Aiemann and for us to have such a perfect scenario to learn from. And we'll be talking about Gavin Tucker. And that's awesome for Gavin, because he's ready for this. He's a performer. The guy's a performer in his life. He's not one of these guys who's just like, should I get a tattoo? What do you think? Should I play guitar? He's a performer. This is who he is. This is perfect for him to go out there free to express himself, have such a wonderful fight, a good opponent to look good against.
Excellent opponent.
And that is no disrespect. It's just when you've got a guy, there is sort of a relationship between power sometimes and mobility and footwork. And to deliver the kind of power that his opponent, Sam Sicilia, I'm sorry, Sam, to deliver the kind of power that Sam Sicilia generates is anchored from the ground. From his ability to deliver power is his anchoring on the ground. How do you beat a guy like that? Peter Martel is a great coach. He's been a great coach for a long time. People are going to start asking about Peter too now. Peter and Gavin put together a game of make him put his weight into the ground, and that's when we move around and we get him, we touch him, we move back out and let him whiff. It's beautiful. It was wonderful. It was really beautiful. I was thrilled for him and thrilled for Peter and thrilled for their whole team. But unlike Aiemann, now you start here. You start off here. So he's ready for that.
And I think that's the assignment. Sam Sicilia came in. He said, this is going to be a perfect performance for me. I'm going to take it to this guy. I think he landed 5 punches.
Hard ones.
Hard ones in total over 15 minutes. And Gavin Tucker just danced circles around this guy. He attacked. He just really one of those perfect performances. So much so that Brian Stann, his comment was, he thought these guys were 135 pounds because he looked so much like Cody Garbrandt. And he did kind of look like Cody Garbrandt in the sense that is a combination of Dominic Cruz and Cody Garbrandt. The way he's able to be free, but at the same time, his accuracy was through the roof. Just a sensational performance. And we were talking about it before during the broadcast. They talked about the fact that he sold a bunch of his guitars to facilitate his mixed martial arts success because he's a jazz musician. And his understanding of that type of creativity, it seems he could express it inside of the cage.
Yeah, how do you solo and be innovative and improvisational? Is you're so rooted in stability of your skills, of your fundamentals. So you become so fundamentally good, and then you open the door to innovation and creativity. That's what he did. That's exactly what he did. He jazzed the shit out of that fight. And it was really cool to see. The difference of Cody Garbrandt is he did that against Dominic Cruz. That's another level. So let's not push this kid.
This is UFC debut against Sam Sicilia.
Oh, it was killer. Don't get me wrong. You hope that level of expectation isn't dumped on him. And I don't think he would look at it that way, and I don't think Peter would allow that all of a sudden we think we're a top 10 guy. The next fight's going to be even harder. The next one's going to be even harder. We're going to get better. We got a lot of work to do. We're busy in doing shit that we love to do here. We love our job. I love it. But it's hard now because there's so many good performances that you actually don't even have the time to break it down. Because it could be a breakdown coming up, and then there's there's so much. Because I'd like to dig into that. The pattern setting that he was doing, and a lot of it was anchored in how he was showing you his shoulder. You see that shoulder, it moves a certain way when you kick, it moves a certain way when you feint, it moves a certain way when you punch, and it moves a certain way that leads to that uppercut. And he gave you so much, your vision is locked to that shoulder, only you can't run the algorithm of what all the meanings of that shoulder are. So there's a lot of smart stuff going on in there too. He's a driven hard worker. He's going, what it takes to get you here, Gavin, it's going to take more than that to get you here. And he knows that, and I'm excited to see what this kid will do.
Especially with this 145-pound division, arguably the best time in its entire history in mixed martial arts. You look at some of the big names, some of the most interesting fighters. You look at Doo Ho Choi, you look at Conor McGregor, you look at Max Holloway, some of the guys at the top of the mountain, the Cub Swansons of the world. When you're looking at that, and you're a guy like Gavin Tucker, are you trying to figure out how to defeat every single one of them stylistically, or is it you are just trying to be the best version of you and hope that they can't catch up?
I think number one priority is just growth and continued improvement. And different layers of your ability layered on top of each other, and different layers of your understanding and your learning. That's imperative. That has to always happen from day to day to day forever. And then there are additionally, the new guy gets put in front of you, and we have 8 weeks. And there's varying amounts that people want to study him. Paul Felder studied Alex Ricci in depth. And he didn't just study, I was talking to Angelo and Alex, they're close friends of mine, and they were talking about how different Alex is. So if you were studying the old Alex, then you'd have it wrong. But they also track their own work and put it out into the world. And that is important from a promotion standpoint. To be able to make your career work, you do have to send out, footage of you. But they studied that too. And Duke's known Alex for a long time. And Angelo made some real changes into Alex's approach, but there was still enough Alex in there for them to study. So it depends who you are. Some of them will go in and we can study every detail of this guy, and that is clearly an option. Sometimes that's the wrong option because we studied something, and if you know I studied you, you'll set traps. Gavin would, for example, would be somebody that would set traps based on what he would think you know about him. So it's a multi-layered, very complex thing, getting more and more complicated all the time. And it sounds, if you talk to somebody about football and they talk about running plays and the defense of the other team and trying to read your lips and having to hold things up, because it's layers and layers of lies and misdirection happening in fighting too. It's happening in fighting right now.
It was a great night of mixed martial arts in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Gavin Tucker impresses. Aiemann Zahabi gets the win in his UFC debut. Elias Theodorou also getting a victory. A tremendous night in Halifax, Nova Scotia.